Welcome back to the channel. This is FR UK Rugby, your home of French rugby in the UK and, well, the Anglosphere around the world. If wherever you're watching, hit subscribe, like, and leave your comment down below on this video. We're going to discuss, well, Joel Abd, who is, I was about to say was OYONNAX's head coach, but still is, kind of. But he's also, more importantly, England's defence coach for the November tests and then full-time at the end of the season. And, well, one man who will know a thing or two about coaching in France and about Joel Abd and what he's like is Joe Worsley, who's sat in his lair at home right now, surrounded by, well, naked photos of yourself, but also MBEs and caps and stuff, Joe.
Yeah, lucky you can't see the ceiling.
You've just been unpacking or something there. You just moved into a new place.
I've moved back to my old house in London, and things have been in storage for 12 years are just coming out. So a lot of this I've not actually seen for a long time. Apart from the naked photo of myself, I take that everywhere, everywhere I go.
Well, you'll have to show us around all of that stuff some other time. But I want to, Joel Abd, discuss. It's been rumoured for a little while now, but it's been confirmed today. What are England getting in Joel Abd?
Okay, so he is a man who produces teams and has coached teams that have had an incredible work rate, desire, never give up, very well organised. They're the teams he's created, like the CAS team that won the league. They just got 6th place, won the first playoff, got into the semi, won that, and then miraculously won the final. Miraculously, they played incredibly in that final and won it. Deservedly, really. Just an incredible season for them, considering where they come from just a few months before. So that was an incredible achievement. And he's gone back to OYONNAX. He got them promoted to the top, back to the top league. Got relegated again, but it's quite hard to come out Pro D into that league and recruit late because they have the final. You can't recruit earlier because you're not 100% sure you're going to get in, and you could end up with a huge wage bill if you don't in Pro D2. And they got relegated again, but they were relatively competitive. They won quite a few games, but by January they're pretty much gone. So he is still OYONNAX. He's going to have to, knowing him and the way he thinks, I think he probably would want to see the out of the season. He probably feels guilty at leaving them in the lurch, and I'd imagine it's pretty not just a financial thing, because I think you have to pay off to get out of a contract in most places. I think in France as well. You have to pay off how much they would have paid you. I'm not sure how much that is, but I imagine the decision is probably more about honour and supporting his team as opposed to anything else. It's the kind of guy I think he is. But he's going to make that England team hopefully more organised. What fascinates me is he's going to try and give them the same line speed, for example, as Felix Jones was doing, which was paying dividends, was giving them an identity. I think something they could hook into, and it seemed like the players have got into. Will he maintain that? Because the teams he's coached don't really do it like that, but they have different strengths. So it'd be fascinating to see what he does with England, but they're getting a guy who is hyper-organised, gets good desire from his players, and is a good bloke.
Just picking up on that hyper-organised, that's my experience of Joel Abd. I knew him for a couple of years when we played university rugby together in Bath.
I did not know.
And I've never known someone so meticulous. I have told this story before elsewhere, but I was the captain, number 8. He was my flanker. With you, Joe, would have made a pretty handy back row. And nice. I organised a team breakfast, and I'd organised with the canteen at the university, the restaurant, for poached eggs. And when we turned up on the Wednesday morning, they had fried eggs, and Joe went home because he would not have any other egg besides poached. It was just, it's a tiny little thing, but it speaks to the man. He is
that the same time he was sharing a flat with Borthwick? Is that the same period?
And exactly. I was going to say, who does that sound like? Steve Borthwick, right?
I reckon he got in the car, called Steve up and said, "Steve, they got fried eggs. I can't do it. Start poaching me my eggs. I'll be there in 5." Steve's there, getting ready. Whisking the water, put a bit of vinegar in, dump it just like Joe likes. They're ready for you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's completed the picture now. I hadn't thought that it would have been Steve Borthwick getting the pan of water on back at home. But
sourdough bread, nice butter, poached eggs.
Exactly.
Dream. Your fried crap you prepared, Tim. You bull's butter.
But you're right to make the link about Steve Borthwick, the relationship, but that meticulous detail that I remember him having, and the way he conditioned himself, and like the hardest trainer I've ever seen, and that was before he went on to be, and it's no surprise he went on to be an elite professional player, but it sounds like Steve Borthwick, doesn't it? When you hear about Steve Borthwick as a coach, it's detail, it's meticulous, it's numbers crunched.
Yeah, definitely. I think their flat must be really clean with those two in it, that's for sure. But listen, they're two guys. They're an incredible work ethic and attention to detail, which is huge. And listen, you need people in your coaching staff that bring that. But like we say, with anything in life, there's a balance, and you got to have the other people, the creative side as well. So it'd be interesting to see who brings that to the party. But hopefully, someone in their coaching group does provide that element.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because Richard Wigglesworth seems like quite a kind of in a similar mould. And where's the point of difference or the counter to that in the England setup? You've already sort of answered that you need a bit of balance. Do England have enough?
It'll be interesting to see. The way they were playing on the tour, I think we all appreciate that it looks like they're going somewhere that's their road, that's the identity they're going to go for, which is intense pressure, trying to suffocate the opposition. I think they're going to carry on down that road. I'd be surprised if they tried to change it, but there was not a huge amount of creativity out there. They were profiting off the back of the errors the opposition made through the pressure they put on them. But that's a good way for England to play. They got the right kind of players to do it. The creative side, currently, Wiggy's a young coach still. Wigglesworth, his style of play at Sarries and how he played wasn't like Dupont, but still, what he did amazingly well. So hopefully, we'll bring that to the party. We'll have to wait and see what this England team does.
I'll tell you what this is a reminder of. There's a whole lot of English talent, rugby IQ, that is plying its trade in France. Joe Alab being one, yourself, Joe, being another. But let's just run down the list. Paul Gustard at Stade Francais.
Yeah, I think Ian Vass is at Clermont.
Yeah, across town from Guzzy is Stuart Lancaster, of course.
Yeah. I think a lot of them get brought in because traditionally the French are weaker at the organisation side, which we English tend to be much better at. Great coaches like Joe Alab, what he brought to the party was that, which the French didn't have, the teams he's been at, and when he combined the two things, it made this very good recipe. And Stuart's obviously trying that at Racing. Guzzy, the Stade Francais team last year did really well. They finished second, and their defence is one of the best in the league. They're trying to play more rugby this year. They lost the first 3 games, but they're trying to find a better balance to what they're doing, because they found they couldn't score enough points when it came to the money time. So they're trying to expand how they play, just relying on stopping the opposition scoring. They're trying to score themselves, which obviously opens you up to more mistakes, more opportunities for the opposition. So they're just trying to make that transition at the moment. So the English guys in France have traditionally been organisation guys.
As well as the French clubs liking the English qualities about it, what I'm really excited about with a lot of the young coaches is when coaches can go over there and absorb what's great about France. And one example of that on the channel, actually, in the video we did on Bayonne, which you should go and have a look at, Nick Abendinen clearly is embracing as a coach that French way of playing. And I can't wait for one day in the future when he can bring that back to the UK.
Yeah, I remember chatting to Ron O'Gara about that kind of subject. He nearly lost the group at La Rochelle. Well, by losing the group, that means the style of rugby he was trying to get them to play was a bit too controlled for their liking. So he had already coached at Racing before he went to New Zealand, and he came back and did the La Rochelle job. And he appreciates that as well, and he appreciates that you need to have that French touch about things. Otherwise, if you go purely Anglo, 100% Anglo on them, it's not going to work. You need to embrace what the French have here. And whilst his team's one of the best organised teams in the league, they still can play flamboyantly when it's necessary.
Do you, Joe, harbour ambitions of, obviously you're very committed with Brive and you want to see that project through, get them to the top 14, see where you can go with that. But looking beyond that, right into the future, is being a coach back in England something that, or maybe for England even, something that's
one
on
day
your list?
any English coach would dream to do that one day. Yeah, for sure. But right time, right place, right moment in your life. Hopefully it'll come along at some point. Just going to keep chipping away.
Well, get stuck in the conversation down below in the comments. There's other players didn't even mention Sean Edwards. But there's more. There's a lot of English rugby IQ out there in France, and to hear regular updates from Joe Worsley and what he's got to say on things, another reason for you to hit subscribe on the channel. Give the video a thumbs up, leave your comment down below. We'll see you on the next one. Nice one, Joe.